Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Kat and today I have over 2 hours of cleaning, decluttering, and organizing for you. This is a compilation of my 5 most recent cleaning, decluttering, and organizing videos that I've been uploading since the start of this year. This week's video was actually supposed to be episode 6 in my Decluttering My Entire Home series, but due to the snow that we had, as well as a couple other reasons, me, my husband, our son Louie, and our dog Callie all stayed at my mom and stepdad's for the week, which was so nice to get to spend so much time with them, and they're an incredible help with Louie, especially while I'm working. But that did mean I wasn't able to film a new video, so here we are doing a marathon. But I hope this can help motivate you if you have a big chunk of cleaning, decluttering, organizing, some sort of a project, and you want to be able to watch a video without interruptions, having to change the video out every 20 or so minutes. I hope this can be some good motivation. If you do enjoy this video, it would mean so much if you gave it a thumbs up and left me a comment. That actually really does help out the video and my channel. And don't forget to subscribe if you're new. I'm so happy you're here. Okay, let's be productive together. Welcome to a complete home reset for the new year. In this video, we are taking down all my holiday decor, decorating more neutrally for the new year, as well as doing a little bit of organization and a bit of an unexpected cleaning task that we had to do. So starting off in the living room, a whole bunch of random stuff everywhere, a ton of baby products, which I'm very excited once we move the tree, we can kind of spread them out around the room a little bit more so it doesn't feel as cluttered. But I always like to start with the focal point of the room, and for the living room, I find that is the couch. So I'm starting off by removing all the holiday pillows. We're going to pop those into storage and then making the couch with the blankets and throw pillows that I do have here. Now, as you can see, we do have a ton of baby products like his standing seat, his swing, his baby bouncer, a toy box, just like so many baby products that we do actually use pretty much every single day. So that's why I like to keep them here. But I am very excited that in one of my next videos, it should either be the next one or the one after that, we are doing a playroom makeover. So our home has a second living room that, to be completely honest, as you'll see in that video, has kind of just been a storage zone for a little while now. But I thought this was the perfect time to transform that to a mini playroom for Louie, and I'm so excited. I'm like halfway through filming that whole process, so it's going to be great to have more space to put some of these items. And we got a whole bunch of really fun baby toy product type stuff for Christmas, so I'm really excited to set all that up and take you along with that process. Now, when it comes to decorating my home for different seasons, I've definitely adapted the method of replace instead of add. Now, obviously, in some cases, especially during Christmas time, I'm adding garlands, wreaths, the tree. But in general, for shelves and spaces like this, I just replace what's already there with something that's a little bit more festive or season appropriate. And this helps to avoid my home feeling super cluttered and like there's just stuff everywhere. Because I also find that the more decor and items you have out, the less interesting and less of a statement that each of the pieces that you choose makes, because they're just surrounded by other stuff. And I am by no means an interior designer, but I personally love the way that I decorate. So if you would be interested in more decor focused videos for like neutral decor throughout the whole year versus seasonal, let me know in the comments, because I would love to make a video like that. Alrighty, and it is now time to tackle the tree. Putting the tree up is what I get most excited for at the beginning of the holiday season and most excited for at the end of the holiday season to take it down. Because by the end of the season, having decor everywhere, and especially this massive tree taking up so much space in my living room, just honestly makes me a little overstimulated, and I'm ready to have the space back. I got this ornament organizer from Amazon, I believe last year or maybe even the year before, and I absolutely love it. When it comes to the glass ornaments that we have and more special breakable items, I store them in here, and it just gives me so much peace of mind that they're not going to shatter. Because in the past, I've done the method where I just wrap them up and stick them in the bin, and that just makes me nervous. So the bin is reserved for all of our plastic ornaments that I can just throw in there and I don't have to worry about them breaking. And I'll also throw our lights that we wrap up in there and the tree collar, things like that. So I just find this method, or like these two methods together, to be perfect for organizing my tree decor. Now, speaking of organizing your lights, if you do not have these plastic little light organizers, highly recommend. I got my mother-in-law on them this year. They just make it so much easier to not only wrap up the lights after Christmas, but then more importantly, next year when you go to put the lights back on the tree, it's so much easier to roll them out. You don't deal with those tangled balls of light. So highly recommend. And I will have these ones that I have linked in the description, as well as everything else that I mentioned in the video.
Forever, I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here? Forever, I'm loving this moment. Can we stay forever? I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together?
Does anybody else genuinely look forward to when you get to vacuum where the tree was after you move the tree? I feel like that's such a specific thing to enjoy, but there's always so many just like tree pine needles, whether you get real or fake, just a whole bunch of stuff that has to get vacuumed up, and I find it so satisfying to do that. Having this corner back in the space is huge for me. I get so excited about this every year, and especially this year when we have all these baby items that are relatively large and take up a decent amount of space in the living room. It is really nice to get the space back. So I'm putting the side table back in between the couch and the chair, and then on the other side of that chair is where we're going to put his swing. Now, I wanted to share a little perspective switch while you're going through and cleaning your home that can hopefully help you get rid of some stuff that doesn't really serve you anymore. While you're going through your cleaning, if you pick up an item and you can't decide if it's something you should keep or maybe you don't need it anymore, I want you to ask yourself, does this support how I want my days to feel this year? And if not, it might be time to let it go. I want you to go into any cleaning, tidying, and especially decluttering projects with the mindset that you're cleaning for the life that you're stepping into and not the one that you're leaving behind in the previous year. We received this adorable little boat basket for my baby shower, and I thought this was the perfect little basket container to hold his toys down here in the living room because it kind of goes with the sea theme. We have the little Finding Nemo playmat, which he absolutely loves. I haven't decided yet if that's going to be moved to the playroom once we get that finalized, because I feel like it will, but then at the same time, I like having a playmat in the living room because if we're hanging out in here, good to have areas for him to hang out as well, but it's also very light. So realistically, it'll probably be moved back and forth. And just like that, the living room is done. As a reminder, this is what it looked like before, our starting point. And here is the after, so much cleaner, so much more fresh and open, and just so much better for the new year. So I'm very, very grateful for how this all turned out. I am thinking about getting some darker pillows for the couch. Let me know your thoughts on that. But for now, I love how everything is looking. And now it's time to move on to room number 2, which is the kitchen. Obviously, got to start off with some coffee. And then I was finding a clean with me video because just like you're doing right now, I love watching / listening listening to Clean With Me videos while I'm getting stuff done. Some of my favorite creators to watch are Alexandra Buter. I love Katie Vining. Catherine Elaine is one of my favorites. There's so many creators who make such motivating videos like this, so those are just to list a few of my favorites. Now, like I've said, starting with the focal point of a room is my number one tip for making cleaning feel a little less overwhelming. So we had gotten the island tidied off, and now we can head over to the rest of the kitchen to tackle the dishes, which to start off, there were a bunch of clean dishes that had to be put away. So then we could refill the dishwasher with the dirty dishes. I find that romanticizing cleaning your kitchen is so darn important because it's a space that we get messy and then clean up and then get messy again and then clean up time and time and time again. And it just can feel so repetitive. So doing things to romanticize it, like once I finished the island, if you noticed, I lit a candle. That made it feel a little more special. And obviously now it smells good. Obviously having a Clean With Me video or music or something to keep you motivated is really great. And I know this is so cheesy, so please bear with me. But when I am cleaning and I start to feel like, oh my gosh, I can't, like this is just getting so repetitive and boring, I remind myself of how lucky I am to have a kitchen and to have dishes to clean and to have all of these things. And when I'm cleaning baby bottles, how grateful I am for my son. There's just so many ways that you can shift your perspective a tiny bit to lean more towards gratitude, and it's going to make you such a happier person if you can continue to do that in your everyday life. I hate when I finish doing the dishes and then I realize that there were still dishes that I'd missed and I have to re-put my gloves on. Such the littlest inconvenience you could possibly have, but I thought I'd mention it because that happened here. But then it did feel really good once I got everything in there and I was able to close it and know that task was completely done. When it comes to storing all of our baby bottles, I have been thinking about getting one of those more compact, clear containers that uses more vertical space than horizontal as I have here. I was inspired by my sister-in-law. We were visiting them in Arizona over the holidays, and she had one of those clear containers that, like I said, uses the vertical space. I believe she said she got it from Target, and I think that just might be a better use of the space, so I'm not sure. We'll see. Maybe in an upcoming video that will be reorganized. But for now, it's time to wipe down the counters. I'm using my Mrs. Meyer's multi-surface cleaner in, I believe the scent is Snow. It's so pretty, or Snowdrop, something like that. Highly recommend for the winter season. And then we can go ahead and start taking down the little bit of Christmas decor that I had up in here.
One of us gotta say the obvious. Nobody loves me better, yeah. I get too drunk and too scared and lie to you. If only you knew I would die for you. One of us gotta say the obvious. Nobody loves me better.
Now, moving on to the hallway entry table, I absolutely love decorating this. I think it's because what you see when you first walk in the house, and it just kind of sets the tone for the space. So I really like keeping it very neutral, very simple, but also little touches of greenery. These wooden beads that I got from Amazon, I am obsessed with. And that bowl, my husband actually made himself when he was younger. So I think that's really special to keep out. And that basket, I typically would add some sort of florals or greenery to, but we actually use it to store like our headphones and sunglasses, things that we grab quickly. So I like to keep that empty. But now we are moving upstairs because in this video you'll see there's an endless amount of laundry to get done, and I was starting off by folding one of the loads that we had for tonight. Alrighty, now moving on to Louie's nursery. There was some tidying up to do in here as well, for sure. I will say his nursery stays relatively clean most of the time. It doesn't really get this messy, which I know in years to come when he is actually making a mess out of his room, I'm going to say this is so tidy. But for right now, it does stay relatively clean. But like I mentioned, we were in Arizona visiting family over the holidays, and this was filmed only a day or two after we got back. So there was a ton of laundry to put away, a bunch of just like random stuff that had been out. And then you'll see in a moment, we are reorganizing the diaper bag because as we use that to travel, it had become packed with a whole bunch of stuff.
You could be one of the things I love. Sunday morning breakfast with my bedroom door locked. I like everything that has a cherry on top. Get on my list of the things I love, love, love. You could be the one I trust. All the second chances say I'm nothing for us. I like it all with the cherry on top. Be one of the things I love. The things I love, the things I love, the things I love, 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 love. The things I love, the things.
So my mom got this diaper bag for Tim for our baby shower. It is the brand Tactical Baby Gear. It is a phenomenal diaper bag. Highly recommend this brand. Tim loves it, and his brother actually said he loved it because it doesn't really look like a diaper bag. Like when Tim wears it, you wouldn't think that that's what it is. It just looks like a backpack. However, I am contemplating getting myself a second one because for like everyday use, it's a little too big, to be completely honest. When I try and stick it in the basket under our Up a Baby stroller, it takes up like the whole thing. I personally don't like wearing backpacks. I just don't like having stuff on my back. And whenever I'm with Tim, he's the one wearing it. But when I'm out and about by myself, I would rather not wear it. And honestly, I've found that most of the time when we're out, the stuff that I need can easily fit in a bag like half that size. So I'm probably going to get another one for myself, and let me know if you have any brand recommendations. My plan is to search Amazon, maybe Target, for just a simple, relatively small bag that I can use when I'm going out and about with Louie. Now, clearly I didn't have too many holiday decor pieces here in the nursery, but there were a few little Santa hats and then obviously Louie's Christmas tree. So I'm removing those things, and this little side table I'm actually going to bring down to my office. But now we can move on to the bathroom because I had a little bit of organizing and tidying up to do in here. I was just separating some of my contacts into these two cups because, fun fact, my left eye and my right eye are two different prescriptions. So we'll see in my yearly checkup that I have next week if that is still the case. But as of last year, they were not the same. Okay, we're probably going to get a little TMI here, but also I don't really think this should be a TMI subject because like all of us women have this happen to us. So I am reorganizing my pad/tampon drawer down here because, fun fact, when we were in Arizona, literally the day that we were taking our flight left at like 5 p.m. that morning, I woke up to my period, which I knew it could happen. I was a little surprised that it happened within 6 months because I have been exclusively breastfeeding, well, a combination of nursing and pumping. And I had like mixed emotions about it because obviously I'm excited to have my period back and know that I'm getting back on my cycle and everything. And it was kind of fun to go back to my Flow app and start tracking it. But obviously having my period is not fun. Fun fact, I've always been somebody who has very intense periods, and I knew I had to go on a 5-hour flight later that night, which thankfully I got lucky. It really wasn't that bad during the flight. Alrighty, this is a couple days later, and this is the cleaning project that I was not intending to have to do, and I'm very grateful to say everything worked out, but it was pretty scary in the moment. So if you're not new here, the name Callie is definitely not new to you, but for those of you who are, Callie is Tim and I's baby girl. She's our little dog, our little baby princess, and unfortunately, we don't know what caused it, but she ended up getting really sick the other day, and the reason I'm taking the bed apart is she actually threw up all over it. We thankfully had a mattress protector, so that and the sheets and everything were in the wash, but it also got a little bit on the sheet that I had on the box spring, so I took that off and we're going to pop that in the wash as well. But when things like this happen, it just reminds me how nothing else really matters other than our health and the health of our loved ones, including our pets. When it happened, I really didn't even think about or care what happened to the bed, that like there was throw up on it or whatever. Aside from washing the sheets, I didn't even go to continue cleaning the side of it because my top priority was taking her to the vet and making sure she was okay. Tim and I actually ended up sleeping in the guest room downstairs that night just because that bed was already made. We're not entirely sure what made her sick, but within the span of like 4 or 5 hours, she threw up, I think it was like 8 or 9 times, and she had multiple instances of diarrhea. So I called our vet and I was so grateful. He was great. They were about closing in like 10 minutes, but he's like, you know what, just come in, we'll wait for you, because he was concerned the amount of times that she threw up in such a short period of time. So he wanted to rule out a blockage, things like that. Thankfully, that was not the case. We're not exactly sure what caused it, but she just had a very irritated stomach, and he was able to give her some meds to help with that. And she's been doing so much better. It's been a few days since then. He was also concerned that she would be dehydrated, which she very much was from all the throwing up and going to the bathroom and everything. So he pumped her with some fluids, which if you've ever seen a dog be pumped with fluids, at first it looked scary. Like her whole back had this big bubble on it, but apparently that's how it goes. And it kind of like settled down over the next couple of hours. I was just so grateful that he got us in. And most importantly, I'm just so grateful that Callie's doing better and she's feeling better. And I also appreciate you listening to this very long story, because I feel like I've been rambling on about this. So now let's tackle my makeup table, because clearly this needs a lot of cleaning up while we listen to some music.
Everything's complete. Do you know how much I love you? I put your favorite song on just to wake you up. When I dance around, I can't help but feeling I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever?
I realized that I mentioned that we went to Arizona, but I didn't really talk much about it. And the specific piece I wanted to talk about was traveling with a 5.5-month-old, which I'm so grateful went relatively smoothly. Let me know if you want a video where I talk more about traveling with a baby and tips and stuff. Not that I'm an expert by any means. I literally did it once, but we did fly across the country. So I think we have somewhat of an idea. A couple top things. We did get a travel stroller going between the Duna and the Even Flow, like car seat stroller combination. And we ended up going with the Even Flow. From the research I saw, it just has better safety ratings. It's definitely heavier to pick up than his normal car seat, but it was just so practical to not have to bring a car seat or rent one when we were there on top of a stroller. You just check it at the gate of the plane, which was really nice. And then we actually rented a car when we got there, so we were able to just attach it to the car. Tim said it was pretty easy to do. I can't say that I did it once, but he said it was easy enough, so that's good. It can be really stressful when you're traveling through the airport or sitting on the actual plane and your baby starts getting fussy and crying, but you just have to remind yourself that most people are incredibly understanding, and if somebody isn't being understanding, then that is completely a them problem, not a you problem, because nobody wants to be out in public with a crying baby. I mean, nobody wants to be anywhere with a crying baby, but especially sitting on a plane. I'm very grateful Louis slept most of the trip both times, but he was also awake for part of it, and there were a couple times he let out a pretty loud scream. And I can tell you that as his mom, I was 10 times more stressed than anybody else on that plane was when he was crying, because I felt bad for everybody else, but I also just was unhappy that he was unhappy, and I was trying to calm him. At one point, my husband was standing in the aisle, just kind of holding Louis and bouncing him, which was helping. And this woman walked by, and she was so sweet. She said, you know, I just want you guys to know you're doing an amazing job. I know this is really difficult. I've been there traveling with a baby, but he's doing great. You're doing great. Just know that. And I cannot tell you what a relief that felt, just to have even one person tell me that it was okay, that he was getting fussy and they weren't annoyed and we were doing good. It really went a long way. So if you happen to be on a plane or traveling and you see somebody with a baby, it might be worth it to just say to them, hey, you're doing a great job at this. You have no idea how much that might mean to a parent. But total topic change, mom life. I needed to fold laundry, but I also needed to pump. So I just combined the two. I don't have any wearable pumps yet. I should probably get that because that would probably come in handy. But for now, we're just using my regular Spectra and pumping while we fold some laundry. Now, while I was filming this, I remember getting very overwhelmed because in my mind, I was giving myself this false sense of urgency. Like I had to get this done really quickly and go as fast as I could. But looking back, it's not like I was running late to something or I needed to be done so I could go feed Louis. I mean, if I needed to feed Louis, I would just pause anyways. So there was no reason for me to have this urgent feeling that I needed to get this laundry done so quickly. And I actually find that I give myself this false sense of urgency a decent amount, which is not healthy. And so a goal I have for myself this year year is to really slow down in every moment that I live and be more present, be more intentional about what I'm doing. When I do start to get that full sense of urgency, take a couple deep breaths, remind myself to just enjoy this moment. I'm literally never going to get this moment back ever. So do I really want to waste it feeling anxious and stressed over something that isn't even legitimate? I don't know why my brain creates this urgency. It's like I want it to be done, so I feel like it has to be done faster, and then I start doing it extra fast, and then it becomes just not enjoyable. And I don't know if that's making sense, so please, I'd love to know in the comments if you can relate to that at all and your thoughts on it, but definitely something in 2026, I want to work on this. Alrighty, I was really excited to do a little revamp of Louie's bookshelf/toy shelf. I started off removing all of the Christmas and holiday books that we have, as well as the Christmas decor pieces. I know I'm going to be so excited next year to take those out, but for right now, we're moving past that for this part of the year. And then I added a little green plant, his little dinosaur toy that he loves, and a couple other cute little toys. When it comes to his books, I set a rule for myself that there can be no more than 3 books per shelf. I just found that more than that was becoming very cluttered, and it's better to rotate them out. So I'll store the rest of the books, and then every once in a while we can come in and swap them out, and then just playing around with where I want everything else on the shelves. As part of Louie's night routine, we always read a book before bed, and the other night when I was sitting on his nursing chair reading to him, I thought about how excited I am when he's walking, and I'll be able to sit on the chair and be like, go pick out whatever book you want for tonight, and he can run over to his bookshelf and pick out the book and bring it back. But then when I was getting all excited about that, I reminded myself that one day I'm really going to miss when he's this tiny and he's not walking yet, and I'm going to miss holding him all the time like this, and that kind of put me back in my place to be like, Kat, remember, you're supposed to live in the moment, so yes, you can be excited for those things, but also appreciate where you're at right now. And finally, it's time to come back into the bedroom and make the bed, although the sheet that I had on the box spring was still in the washing machine, so we'll put that on another day. Alrighty, let's hop right into it. Today we have a ton of cleaning. I'm also doing a couple decluttering projects, some organizing, and I'm going to take you along with me because not only do I find it motivating for me to take you along with me, but also I hope that it can motivate you and I can be a friend as you're getting productive, getting stuff done around your home or whatever it may be that you are doing today. So starting off in my home office/guest room, I had a few things that had just kind of accumulated, and then these bed sheets of our guest bed definitely needed to be washed. So I am taking them off and we're going to pop them in the wash before we do a little desk makeover, which I'm really excited about. Now, if you're watching this video the day it goes live, I'm curious where you're located, and if you are expecting to be affected by, I believe it's called Winter Storm Fern. If you are, I just want to say that I hope you're staying safe, you're staying warm, staying off the roads if at all possible. I love all those memes I'm seeing that are like, this storm may be 2 inches, it may be 17 feet. You just don't know. There may be a ton of ice on the road. There may be no ice at all. So obviously we don't really know what's going to happen, but I'm a firm believer in always prepare for the worst, hope for the best, because you never know what's going to happen, and the time that I expect it to not be a big deal, that's when it's going to be a big deal. I think it's just always better to be prepared, and I am from Connecticut, so I believe it's supposed to be the worst here Sunday afternoon, evening into Monday, so we'll see what happens, but stay safe, stay warm, and let me know. I'm curious if you're being affected by the storm at all. Okay, so I knew I wanted to make a couple little adjustments to the desk. The first being I wanted to switch that drawer or the drawers that I have on the right side to the left side. I think the right side looks a little furniture heavy because the drawers are right next to the chair. So switching that will just hopefully make it look a little more balanced. And the desk and the drawers are both from IKEA. I got them, oh gosh, like 6 years ago.
Okay, just listen to me as I say. You will find a way. Slow it down, dreams still yours if you want it. Enjoy the ride, 'cause those ups and those downs is what makes it worth the ride. You will make it in time. You'll make it in time. Time. You'll make it in time. You'll make it in time.
Now for my desk itself, I like to keep the little footrest underneath there. I just find whenever I'm working, I like to keep my legs up. And then I wanted to get a few little new pieces to spice up my desk, freshen it up a bit now that I'm going back to work. I first popped my second monitor on there, and I am so excited about this desk pad. I don't know why, it just brings me so much joy, but it does. Now, I will say that I ordered this one. I forget what the exact sizing is, but I decided it was too small, so I ordered a bigger size, and I'm very pumped for that to come. I'll show it to you in my next video or something. I think that it looks beautiful. It's great to have, but this one was just a little too small. I also got this little calendar where I can write weekly, daily, and any like important tasks that I need to get done, my to-dos. So very pumped about that. And then these really fun pens. They just write really well. So huge fan of those. And then I added a plant, a little candle, a little coaster, and plugging my computer in, my monitor, all that stuff. And it's small stuff like this that makes me even more excited to start work. And it just reminds me how important your environment is and making sure that the space that you're going to work makes you feel inspired and excited and a sense of calm so you can focus on your work.
Take me down, every time I walk the one that I love. Take down, every time I walk the one that I love. Take me down, every time I walk the one that I love. Take down, every time I walk the one that
I cannot believe it has already been 2 weeks since I went back to work. If you don't know, I do work a full-time job from home, and I'm so grateful that I was able to take 6 months maternity leave. So it definitely is a little bit of an adjustment going back and getting back into the routine of things. But I'm also really grateful that I adore the people I work with. And as far as childcare for Louie goes, we are in the process of hiring a nanny. I've talked about that before, and I unfortunately don't have a solid update just yet, but I'm hoping by the next video I will. But as for now, my incredible mom and sister have kind of been helping out and watching him while I work, which is just incredible. And once we do hire a nanny, my mom is still planning to do 2 days a week, and then we're hiring somebody for 3. And as far as how I'm feeling about going back to work, I think it's definitely a transition and getting used to, not being with Louie or being his primary caretaker for such a big portion of the day. But I am also grateful that, for a lot of the days it's my mom. I love knowing that he gets to spend so much time with her. And obviously he's not remembering these days, but my mom is, and it means so much to her. So that definitely helps. But also if you're going through something similar, the mindset and reminder that it really helps me throughout the day when I'm sitting in front of my computer wanting to just go play with him, but I'm like, Kat, you have to work, is that this is so much harder for me than it is for him. And I can hear him out there playing. He's having fun. He's happy, whether it's with my mom and nanny, like he's good. I'm the one who's struggling with it, and that I can deal with. Like I will be okay. Knowing that he's happy, that's all that I need. So in those harder moments throughout this transition, that is really helping me to feel so much better about it. One of my favorite parts of almost every day in the winter is taking my now room temperature coffee and turning it into iced coffee. I always start my mornings with hot coffee, especially in the winter. During the summer, I'll typically start it with iced, but when it's literally in the teens outside, I need to start my day with hot coffee. But then by mid-morning, I am ready to turn it into iced. So we did that, and then we can start tackling the dishes. And I'm curious if anybody else out there also stores their pots and pans in their oven. That's just something we've always done. I am very excited though to hopefully hopefully sooner than later move to a home where we have a little bit more storage and we don't have to do that. But for right now, it works. And all you got to do is remember to take them out before you turn the oven on. But aside from that, you might as well use that space that's otherwise just sitting there empty. Now, while I'm putting away all of Louie's bottles and binkies and stuff, I thought this was the perfect time to share a little update on our feeding journey. Up until this point, Louie has been getting exclusively my breast milk from a combo of nursing and pumping, or like pumped bottles. However, recently he has just really upped his intake, and to be completely transparent, I just was not able to keep up with producing as much as he was eating. And especially while I'm working, I'm pretty much pumping the bottle for his next meal. So what I do is if I only pump, say, 4 ounces that pumping session, I'll then supplement the other 3 to 4 ounces with formula. But I also did find that now that I'm pumping more often versus nursing with working and everything, that I think my supply is going back up. So I really only end up supplementing maybe once or twice a day, but it is such a weight off my shoulders to know that we have the formula if needed. And it's not going to be like, if I don't produce enough that he just doesn't have the milk that he needs. And this was kind of funny, but the first time that we gave him the formula after he had been exclusively breast milk, his face was not happy. He did not like it. And it actually took a little while to get him to start taking the formula, which was also really stressful for me because I remember thinking, well, if I'm not producing enough and he won't take the formula, like he's just not going to eat. And I remember Tim, my husband, was like, when he gets hungry, he will eat. Something that I do want to do differently when we hopefully have a second baby is from the time they're born is also add in 1 to 2 bottles of formula each week, just to make sure that they are slowly getting used to the taste, and that if we do for whatever reason have to switch over to solely formula or something like that, it's a much quicker and easier transition. And I'd be more than happy to talk more in detail about my journey and all of that if you're interested. But for right now, let's move on. We're going to head over to the living room and start tidying up in there. Okay, so if you remember in one of my recent videos, I talked about how I wanted to get darker pillows for the couch just to kind of bring in some of those green colors. I found these from Target. I am so obsessed with them. Not only do I love them because I think they're beautiful, but guess how much I paid for them? I paid $4 each. They were on sale. They were originally, I think, like $40, and I was just so darn excited. They're technically from the holiday line, I think, but I feel like they're really beautiful for year round, and they just go perfectly. So very excited about that. Also, I don't know if you can hear if the microphone is picking up Louie talking in the background. Him and Tim are in the living room playing, and I can hear Louie chiming in. He wants to be part of the voiceover, I guess. And speaking of Tim, he had just gotten home from grocery shopping, and so I decided to point the camera at him while he unloaded our groceries. Also, if you saw my last video, it was a complete room makeover. We turned our clutter zone into a playroom for Louie, which I love for multiple reasons. It's awesome to have that space, but also there's way less toys all over the place in the living room because now we have most of them in there. So if you haven't seen that, I highly recommend, and it just makes it so much more satisfying to clean the living room when there's not baby activity centers everywhere. And now let's head into the bedroom. As you can see, clothes everywhere. A lot of the stuff on the floor is dirty, but there is also so much clean laundry. Like his bassinet is just filled to the brim with clean laundry we have to fold. Also, we are going to be removing that from the room because he has officially outgrown it. But first, let's take care of all the stuff on the floor. Now, I know I don't talk much about Louis. That's very intentional in my videos, but one thing I did want to mention is how freaking amazing it is whenever he has these big milestones. As you can see, he recently started sitting on his own, and while he will plop back every once in a while, he's definitely still working on those muscles. It is just the most exciting thing to see him hit these milestones and see when he gets excited that he realizes he can sit on his own. And whenever anybody asks me what my favorite part of motherhood so far is, it's the excitement and joy you get from seeing them reach every little milestone. I mean, anything that they're starting to learn, to realize, to understand, it just makes life so much brighter and more colorful and exciting and magical in so many ways. So the biggest thing recently is that he's sitting up on his own.
Sing along, and I can't help but feeling, just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here?
I feel like we're covering a bunch of different topics in today's video, but something else that I wanted to talk about that relates to just how I've been feeling lately, especially with going back to work and really putting so much effort into posting videos every single week, which brings me a huge amount of joy, but it also is a huge amount of work. I honestly, I describe how I feel recently is having 50 tabs open in my brain at all times, maybe even 100 sometimes. It honestly feels like difficult to catch a grip on what's really important and what I need to focus on. So a few things that have been helping me, if you're in a similar boat where it just feels like you've got 1,000,010 things going on at all times, and this is so simple and you've probably heard it before, but maybe the reminder will get you to try it out, and I find it so helpful, is the beginning of the day, I will write down on my notepad the top 3 priorities that I need to get done that day. This could be relating to work, this could be my own personal stuff, this could be household, YouTube, whatever it may be. What are the top 3 things that I need to get done that day? And don't get me wrong, sometimes something comes up and I don't end up getting all 3 things checked off of my list, and I do still think that those can be plenty successful days. But the point is it gives you some sort of framework to know what to focus on that day, what to prioritize when it feels like there's 1,000,000 things demanding your energy. And this is just something that I have found that really helps. Now, Louis has completely outgrown his bassinet. We can't use that anymore, which is why we have the pack and play. We have transitioned him to his crib, and most nights he spends the first half of the night in there, but then we'll wake up and we end up bringing him into the bedroom and he'll sleep in the pack and play for the rest of the night. So it was time to put away the bassinet. Now, I'm not going to lie, I could not figure out how to do it myself. I know that if I really had spent some more time, I could have figured it out, but I love my husband and he was able to do it, so I just brought it into the other room. I did decide to push the bed to the side a little bit to make more room for the pack and play. I'm very excited to hopefully remove that sooner than later when he really starts sleeping the full night in his crib, but recently that's just not the case, so it's a lot more helpful to have it in here. I thought of a new method to help declutter sweaters or any clothes from your wardrobe, and that is when you're looking through the sweaters, for example, because that's what I'm decluttering here, is pretend that every single day you are required to wear a different sweater. So I'd look at each sweater, and if I would have any negative feelings about having to wear that for the day, that's a quick and easy way to know that I should donate it. I think it's really easy to keep stuff in there that you don't necessarily love, but I don't hate it, so I'll keep it. But I don't know, this method really helped me to remove a lot more pieces and pop them into the donate bin. On to another decluttering project. This cabinet in our bathroom, as you can see, had just become a pretty cluttered mess. A whole bunch of stuff was stuffed back there. So I'm starting out by taking everything out. That way I have a clear vision of what is in there, and I can start being a little bit more intentional and picky, I'll say, about what goes back in the cabinet and what can be donated. Now these erase your face cloths, I was obsessed with these for a handful of years. It's like you wet them and then it takes all your makeup off. But like a year ago, I'd say, I switched over to using a cleansing oil to take my makeup off, and I just find that I like that method a lot more. So I have had these erase your face cloths sitting in this cabinet for almost a year now, and I literally have not grabbed for them once. So I decided that was a good sign. It was time to get rid of those. The serotonin rush I get after decluttering a project and it's all neat and organized is the motivation I need to continue moving forward with all of these declutter projects, and I hope that it can give the same motivation to you. So just as a reminder, here's the before, a whole bunch of stuff in there, and then here's the after, just so much cleaner, so much neater, and I'm so grateful that I decided to tackle this project today. Now, while we've been doing all this cleaning, Louis was taking his nap, and after that he had woken up, so we popped into the nursery, opened up his blinds. I love greeting him after his little nap. I changed his diaper, and then I did a little bit of a nursing session because by that point he was hungry. For my baby shower, my sister-in-law picked out this giant giraffe for me, and I'm so happy she did because Louis loves him. Every time I put him in front of the giraffe, he'll just start laughing and trying to pet him. It's the cutest thing in the world. But then I put him on his Love Every play mat so that I could clean up the nursery.
And I can't help but feeling, just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? Forever. Forever. Forever.
I feel like I've said this many times, but I swear the day is going to come soon. One of the next decluttering projects that I'm going to tackle is Louis' closet. As you can see, it is just stuffed full with a whole bunch of stuff. Honestly, the whole left side isn't even baby related, which that's not going to be able to change because we need to use this closet for some of Tim and I's stuff as well. But I am really excited to do a home makeover and share some tips on how to organize a baby's closet or any closet in general, but especially one where you have to share it with stuff of your own, because I think a lot of us find ourselves in that same position. But that video is to come. For now, let's do some vacuuming.
You could be one of the things I love. Sunday morning breakfast with our bedroom door locked. I like everything that has a cherry on top. Get on my list of the things I love, love, love. You could be the one I trust. All the second chances, they are nothing for us. I like it all with the cherry on top. Be one of the things I love. We don't have to move so fast, baby. I will show you how you can catch my vibe. And right away, got so much time looping in the blurry lights.
Now, before I hadn't taken all of Louis' toys out of the pack and play because he was obviously sleeping in his nursery, but now that he was awake, I was able to come back in here, grab all those toys, we'll bring them into the nursery, and then I also changed his pack and play sheet to a clean one. I think the sage green color is so pretty. And also, if you are looking for a pack and play, highly recommend this one. It was very affordable and it works really well. We got it when we went to Arizona back after Christmas, so we traveled with it. We were actually able to fit it in our suitcase, the one that was obviously checked, so it was a bigger one, but it folds up really nice and it worked out really well. So I'll have it linked below if you're interested. And then it was time to vacuum up in the bedroom. I love how Callie thinks of it as a game and she'll like try and attack the vacuum. That makes it a little bit more difficult to get vacuuming done, but also a lot more fun because I love seeing how much fun she has with it. And clearly I was on a bit of a vacuuming spree, so we headed downstairs so I could do some vacuuming in there. And then after we finish this, I'm actually going to share one of my go-to favorite lunch recipes, like meal prep lunch recipes. Not going to lie, when I made this, I actually had it for lunch and dinner for like 3 days straight because it's so good. All you need are cucumbers, peppers. I did a red one and an orange one, and a red onion. Obviously, you can use whatever veggies you want, but I find this combo works really well. And then for pasta, I did a combo of regular pasta because I love the taste, and chickpea pasta because it's a lot higher in protein. So then veggie by veggie, I'm just going through, chopping it up and adding it to the bowl. This is so good. We'll add some cheese in a little bit as well. You'll see it just so filling, so delicious. You're getting protein from the chickpea pasta, you're getting your veggies in there, and then obviously the cheese adds some more protein. You're also getting carbs from the regular pasta. So altogether, super delicious and relatively healthy meal. Also, obviously this goes without saying, but if you wanted to add meat, you can add chicken, something like that. I don't eat meat, so that's why I didn't do that. But if you wanted to add a little bit of extra protein, that's a great way to do it. But this base of like a pasta salad, so darn delicious. As for the cheese, I personally like cheddar. So I did a white cheddar and an orange cheddar, chopped those up into little cubes and then poured that in. You can do really any dressing you want, but I find that the flavors of all of the different veggies you don't really need a dressing. So I just added a little bit of olive oil, some sea salt, mix it all together, and then you can keep it in the fridge, and every day just pop a little bit in a bowl. You don't even need to warm it up. It is just so delicious. Jumping right into the cleaning today, you can see we're getting an early start. I'm still in my pajamas, but first things first, we're going to strip the bed. That way we can pop those sheets in the washing machine. Now, something I want to talk about throughout this video is how I push myself to get cleaning and be productive when my motivation is really low. This morning, I was honestly exhausted. We have been having more frequent sleepless nights, so we are working on that. My son is just about 6.5 months old, and it's a process. But something about motherhood is that your to-do list does not get shorter just because you have a baby, and it actually gets longer, and there are a million and one things that need to get done every day. So just because you're tired or not motivated doesn't mean that the to-do list doesn't still need to get done. I do work a full-time job from home, so that's part of the reason you see me here cleaning in my pajamas, because it was bright and early. This was like 7 a.m. and I was trying to get some cleaning done before I had to sign on for work for the day. All that to say, if you're watching this and you also feel overwhelmed, you feel like it can be really challenging to get the motivation you need to get stuff done around your home, especially when there's just so many different areas of your life like really reaching for your attention, then I'm really happy you're here, and I'm going to share some different tips and mindset switches that can hopefully help you out. One of the most important lessons I've learned is that motivation usually does not come first. Action does. So if I wait for myself to feel like cleaning and I'm just sitting on the couch like, all right, well, eventually I'll get that burst of energy to pop up and be productive, chances are it's not going to happen. So instead, I'll tell myself, I just need to do one thing. Like if I get up and I make the bed, like at the beginning of this video, I get up, I strip the bed sheets and I pop them in the washing machine, or I go into the kitchen and I put 3 things away from what's on the counter. Something small that almost always ends up snowballing into more and more productive actions. And then all of a sudden I've gotten a whole bunch of things done and I'm feeling great. If you rely solely on motivation to get stuff done, whether it's big goals that you have or something simple like doing the laundry, I hate to break it to you, but you're probably never going to get it done, or at least not in a timely manner that you would like to. Or you're going to start and then you're going to stop and then you're going to start and you're going to stop, because the reality of it is that motivation is going to come and it's going to go. And most of the time it doesn't come when we actually have time to do something. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've been driving home from the grocery store and I'm like, oh, I have so much motivation to get home. I'm going to clean out the fridge, reorganize it. Like I get this big burst of motivation and energy to do it. And then once I get home and I'm looking at the fridge, it's like, yeah, no, I'm just going to shove these groceries in the best I can and go sit on the couch. So the second that you stop waiting for motivation and start to actually flip the motivation switch on yourself, which is really easy to do, all you got to do is get up and do 1, 2, 3 small productive actions. That is how you start to build motivation, and it's just going to keep growing from there. Alrighty, so this next tip is to think of cleaning as care and not a chore. We all get excited about self-care when it comes to like a nice cozy bath or a nice glass of wine at the end of the day, or your nice cup of coffee in the morning, or going for, your hot girl walk, whatever it may be. But honestly, cleaning up your home is also a type of self-care, and it's probably one of the most important because you're living, if you're anything like me, at least your mental state is directly impacted by your physical surroundings. So making sure that my space is clean and tidy and neat is literally a form of care, and they're not just chores that have to get checked off a to-do list. They're things that I get to do because I have a home to keep clean and keep tidy, and I'm doing it for the overall betterment of my mind, body, and soul. Not to sound cheesy, but honestly, that's really what it is. Okay, now this is a really fun tip that you kind of have to do beforehand, and then when you're in the situation where you're feeling not motivated, you pull it out and it will 9 times out of 10 help motivate you. Say your kitchen is a mess right now. Take a before picture, then clean it up, and then take an after picture. And you could do that with different spaces in your home. And then next time you really don't feel like cleaning your kid's playroom and it's a complete mess, look at those before and after pictures. And there's something about looking at the space messy and then you just swipe and instantly it's clean that I find that often gives me that little dopamine hit, that rush that I need to get motivated to get up and start cleaning, because I really want to, get it to that clean state. So just something fun, small that you can try, and let me know if that works for you. Now you can see here, this was me tidying up the kitchen before I went to start work for the day. And then in a few seconds, there we go. It is now dark outside because this is after work. And I literally did not touch the kitchen all day because it was just a full pack day. And realistically, sometimes that happens. Did I feel like cleaning after work? Absolutely not. But did I get myself up and start doing it? Yes. And I'm very grateful that I did. And that leads me into tip number 3, which is start with what feels easiest. So I finished work for the day. I knew that I had some more stuff to get done. Wiping down the island didn't really feel like a big task, but it's something that, as we talked about in tip number 1, got the momentum going. So if you are feeling very low motivated, start with whatever feels the least heavy, not necessarily what's the most important, but something that feels doable. So this could be doing the dishes or clearing off a surface. Seeing something small get finished is going to give you an extra little tiny boost to continue on and continue getting stuff done. Remember, you don't need a whole plan. You really just need a starting point, and then the productivity will continue on from there. Totally random, but also not, because we're literally looking at my bottle and pump storage situation here while I'm filming these clips. In my next video, I'm really excited that we're going to actually be completely redoing that little area. I'm just not loving how it's organized, so be on the lookout for that. And that kind of leads me into my next tip, which is zoom into a specific area that you need to tackle. So for example, you walk into the kitchen and it's a complete disaster and you're like, okay, there's no way that I can get this done. I have no motivation. Instead of thinking I need to clean the kitchen, break it up into sections. So I need to clear off the island, or I need to empty the sink, or I need to empty the dishwasher, or, literally break up your counters by section. So I'm going to tackle the left side of the sink first and put everything away there. And then I'm going to tackle the right side, and going section by section and breaking up an area is going to help so much in feeling less overwhelmed and feeling like the project you're tackling is way more manageable. I've seen this joke all over social media, but it's so true, where it's like when you have a million things to do on your to-do list, so instead you just go take a nap. And I've been known to do that, because here's the thing. If you're looking at the big bird's eye view of whatever you need to get done, of course it's going to feel more overwhelming. The end result feels so far away. So if you can zoom in to small little areas, focus on one task, get that done, and then you're going to get like a little dopamine rush, serotonin rush after you get that done. And that's going to help slowly build more sustainable, intense motivation as you continue getting things done and checking things off. Alrighty, now let's move on to cleaning up the living room, and we'll talk about our next tip as we do so. I feel like I don't even need to mention this tip because you're actively doing it, so it kind of goes without saying, but I will say that putting on a clean with me video is so motivating to me. I'll have some of my favorite Clean With Me creators linked in the description that like I go back to every single time when I need somebody to keep me company while I'm cleaning. But there's just something really, really motivating. Again, I feel like I don't need to say this because you're literally doing it right now, but it's honestly one of my favorite things to help keep me motivated or build motivation when I don't have it and I need to be productive. So I thought I'd mention it as well.
Favorite song on, I put my feet up and we just sing along, and I can't help but feeling, just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever?
Okay, I already know I'm going to get some eye rolls on this one, but stay with me here. This next tip is to pretend like you are in a Clean With Me montage. Now, I know that this sounds really silly, but this is actually one of the most powerful ways to romanticize your life and almost feel like that main character energy, which in turn, I promise you, will lead to more motivation. You can even post a before and after picture on like your Instagram story or something if you don't make videos, to give yourself that little motivation of like, okay, I posted the before, I really got to make sure that I follow up with the after. Or my sister will always send me Snapchats of before and after. So she'll film her room really messy, say before, and then like 20-30 minutes later, I get the after video. And again, great motivation because you already sent or posted the messy version. So it's really going to give you that little kick in the butt to get up and clean so that you can send the clean version after.
And we just sing along, and I can't help but feeling, just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment.
Okay, if you're not new here, you've heard me talk about the whole nanny saga that we've been going through over here. Long story short, my husband and I have been looking to hire a nanny because I recently went back to work full time. I'm so grateful to be able to work from home. But let me tell you, childcare is overwhelming, and I have so much respect for every parent who deals with trying to find childcare in one way or another, whether it's bringing a nanny into your home, doing daycare. For my family, we decided it's going to be a combination of my incredible mom who helps out some days, and then we are also hiring a nanny. We went through a few different nannies. It felt like every time it would fall through for one reason or another. I am very excited to report that we found somebody who is wonderful. I'm so excited that she, has been working out. It hasn't been too long yet, so, knock on wood, but I will say I'm very hopeful. So I figured while we were cleaning my home office, I would share a little update on that. All right, our next tip for getting yourself to clean when motivation is low. This is a little hack that's probably your method, which is one of my absolute favorites. And it's the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 method. If you're not new here, you've probably heard me talk about this, but essentially it's if you're looking at a space and the main issue is there's just a whole bunch of stuff everywhere, like a really cluttered counter or really cluttered floors, is you're going to pick up an item, put it away, that's 1, pick up another item, put it away, that's 2, pick up another, put it away, that's 3, so on and so forth till you get to 5. And this is so great because 1, chances are by the time you put the 5th item away, you're going to want to continue, right? Because I mean, the counting upwards, just your brain is going to want to go 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, da, 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 da. But also once you've put those first 5 things away, you've already got the ball rolling and you're already starting to have momentum grow. And on the other hand, say you've put 5 things away and then you decide you're not feeling it. You don't want to continue. That's fine. At least you put 5 things away. Those are 5 things that would have still been on the floor or on the counter that now they're put back in their place. So either way, it's a win-win. Highly, highly recommend this method, and let me know if you try it out. Okay, on to another day. I'm so excited because we are swapping out my son's crib for a new one. Something I didn't really think about before he was born is that there's this outlet right behind his crib. And now that he's starting to reach for things, I just got nervous that he'd try and stick his fingers in there. So I decided to find a crib with a solid back. I was working while my husband came upstairs to start tackling this crib. I had the whole camera set up and I was like, don't forget to press record. So I thought this was funny. This was him pressing record. But then he's going ahead to take this crib apart so he can start putting the new one together. We will be taking this crib to my mother-in-law's house, so it's still going to be used, but I'm just really excited about the new one because also the crib was one of the first things I got for the nursery, and I do love the dark wood, but I felt like after everything was put together, a lighter wood would just fit the vibe a little bit more. So I'm really, really pumped for you to see the one that we chose. And I will say I pride myself in that we found a relatively more affordable crib because I just could not get myself to buy a crib that was upwards of $1,000. Just, I don't know, just ridiculous to me. So I believe this one was around $300. Don't quote me on that, but I will have it linked in the description if you're interested. I just wanted to point out that you have been cleaning for over 15 minutes now. So regardless of how you felt at the beginning of this video, I want you to know how proud I am of you that you got your butt up, you're getting stuff done, whether, this is only 15 minutes into your cleaning, decluttering journey for the day, or maybe you've been at it for like an hour. You should be so proud of yourself that you're pushing through. And I just wanted to say thank you for having me along with you for this session, cleaning, whatever it is, decluttering. That means a lot that you chose to watch one of my videos while doing so. But just a little reminder, keep going. You're doing great. Alrighty, while Tim continues to work on the crib, let's talk about the next tip. So this one is to be kind to yourself on those low energy days where you just don't have it in you to tackle as much as you maybe have to. Something that motherhood has taught me is that energy is it is not unlimited. And some days I have a lot to give and some days I don't. And that is completely normal. So on those more low energy days, I have to stop talking to myself like a drill sergeant or something and start talking to myself like I would talk to my friend or my sister or my husband or my son as he gets older. I mean, I remind myself how I want to make the ones that I love feel about getting stuff done, and I need to kind of give myself that same respect and energy. It's really tempting to look around and think I should be doing more, this has to get done, that has to get done, and that, I should have started earlier or gotten further by now, or maybe I should be handling things better. But all that that's doing is draining you even more, and there's nothing productive coming out of that. And you also need to give yourself a little bit of grace, because as moms, whether you're a mom or not, honestly, we do so many things throughout the day. So instead of asking, why can't I keep up? Ask yourself, what would help me feel just a little lighter right now? And maybe the answer is finishing that clean. And sometimes it's just stopping early, letting things be as they are, and going to sit down, have a glass of water, a cup of coffee, maybe go for a 10-minute walk, maybe go sit and play with your baby. And remind yourself that effort is not measured by how much you get done. It's measured by showing up when it gets hard. And the fact that you did that one task that you didn't really feel like doing, even if it only took you a total of 60 seconds, that's showing up, that's putting in effort, and that's something that you should be proud of. So one of the mindsets that has helped me so much when it comes to building motivation for not only cleaning, but going to the gym, doing my workout, meal prepping for the week, I don't know, going for a walk or tidying up the kitchen, literally anything, starting a work project, is do it for future you. Because here's the thing, the future is going to come. You're going to wake up the next morning and have to walk down to your kitchen, and it's up to you right now whether you're walking down to a clean kitchen or a messy kitchen in the morning. So have some respect for future you, who is going to want to walk downstairs to a clean kitchen, pop in some headphones and get your cleaning done. I think that this is so powerful, and so much of the time when I'm just feeling lazy on the couch and I don't want to start whatever the project is, I remind myself of future me and how happy she will be if I actually get my butt up and get to work on that project. And I would say, I don't want to say 9 times out of 10, but 8 times out of 10, that reminder and little mindset shift really helps me to get up and get it done. Okay, as a reminder, here's the before, what the previous crib looked like, and here's the after. I love it so much more than I even thought I would, to be honest. The one thing I will say is I'm not actually sure if I love the drawer at the bottom as much as I thought, so we may end up taking that out, but as far as the crib itself, I am so happy with how it looks. And there were actually a few other little changes I thought about making in the nursery. So this big teddy bear I love, but I just felt like this section was a little too crowded, so I decided to move him over to that corner, and then I can move Louie's Love Every playmat a little bit closer to the crib. There's more room in this section. It just feels like a little bit more of a usable layout. Alrighty, jumping right in, we're starting off in my son's nursery. We had a little bit of laundry to unpack. Now I'm so excited for today's video. We are doing cleaning, we're doing a handful of organization projects, including completely reorganizing the way that I was storing my baby bottles and pump parts. Also going to be taking you through a morning routine, morning in the life of me and my son. And along the way, I thought it would be fun to share some of the top things I've learned in this past 7 months now of being a mom. I feel like I could make an entire 3-hour long video talking about that, but there's a few things that I really wanted to share just, at the forefront of my mind recently. So I want to share that with you throughout this video. So grab a coffee, a water, a sparkling water, I don't know, your drink of choice, and let's be productive together. So the first thing that I've learned being a new mom is that the concept of time is completely different than what it used to be. When I think back to all the free time that I had, it is actually insane to me. And to be completely fair, when I was in my pre-child life, I did not realize that I had that much amount of time. And this is kind of funny, actually. One of the only times that I actually got a lot of, I don't know if you would say backlash, but I guess in some sense in a video online, but I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, I posted a TikTok about the 8x8x8 rule, which if you haven't heard it, you have 8 hours of sleep a day, 8 hours of work a day, and then 8 hours of free time. And the idea of it is to say, you may think you have no time, but really you have 8 hours to yourself every single day. Of course, give or take. I really like this framework. I made a video about it on TikTok and I got roasted by all the moms out there being like, this girl clearly doesn't have kids. She clearly isn't a mom. Yeah, that sounds nice for people with no kids. And I mean, it's funny because at the time I remember feeling so awful and being like, oh my gosh, I offended all these moms. But I did get a few comments from moms and from not moms that were like, well, no, she doesn't have kids. So obviously this is not speaking to somebody with kids. And I remember feeling just so bad that I offended anybody. But now looking back, it's kind of like, why was I so concerned? I mean, I never claimed to be making that video for moms. I clearly didn't have kids. I, was making it from my own perspective. So long story short, I have since thought a lot about that rule. And I actually think that there are still a lot of ways that it can be beneficial to moms and how I've been using it in my life now as a full-time working mom. Aside from putting out these videos every week, I also work a full-time job from home. So not that I'm an expert by any means, but I have put a lot of effort into finding the best way to manage my time, and the 8x8x8 rule really does help. And I've actually been thinking about putting an entire video together where the voiceover throughout the video will be talking about the 8x8x8 rule directly towards moms and how we can use it to help manage our time better. So if you'd be interested in that, please let me know in the comments. Okay, moving on to the next day, we are doing a little bit of a diaper station restock. I got a new Coterie order. We've been using the Coterie diapers for a few months now. This is not sponsored. However, I would love to work with you, Coterie. So if a future cat gets to work with them, I will be very happy. I can't believe how quickly Louis has outgrown the different sizes. I've got a whole pack of size 3s that I thought we were going to need, and then he quickly outgrew them. So I'm going to be giving those to one of my friends who has a daughter a little younger than Louis and is still fitting into those. I also realized that I could no longer stack the bags of the diapers in this drawer because they're too tall. But by removing them from the bag, it was so much easier to stack them all in and fit them, all of them. So that worked out really well. A little organization tip I have for a diaper changing table. Highly, highly recommend having a diaper caddy on the top of the dresser or the changing table that has all of your essentials. It's one of those things that, just opening a drawer to grab the diapers or the lotion or whatever you need, the wipes, doesn't seem that difficult. And it's not, realistically, it's not, but it makes such a difference, especially in those early morning, middle of the night changings where everything is actually any time of day. It doesn't even matter. Everything you need is right there and you can just grab out the diaper, grab out the wipes, pop them back in. It's just something that you wouldn't think makes such a difference. But as a mom, I have found that any couple of seconds that can save me time, they make a huge difference. So highly recommend. Okay, moving on. This is the next day, and I'm so excited because we are reorganizing my bottle station. I have had this set up for, 7 months now. I just use these clear bins that I pop the bottles in, the pump parts, and this works great, but I wasn't a fan that I didn't have any closed area to put his binkies, and I also feel like it doesn't look as neat as it could. It just takes up more counter space than I feel is needed. So my sister-in-law actually inspired me. She had this set of clear bins that stack on top of each other, and I found them from Target. I'll have them linked below. And these could come in handy when organizing almost any area of your home. But if you've got some bottles, some pump parts, some binkies to store, I think this is a great method. Another thing I've learned as a new mom, and I actually think this applies to really anybody in life, but it's that the methods and routines that you choose are going to be ever changing. I will start to feel like we're in a groove. I've got a set routine down, and then Louis has some sort of hits a new milestone, has a sleep regression or whatever it may be. And I feel like I'm starting over from scratch. But something that I remind myself is that I'm not starting over from scratch. I'm starting with the knowledge and the wisdom that I now have from all the experience that I've gained. And also reminding myself that the skill of being able to adapt and change when needed will help me in every single aspect of my life. One of the certainties in life is that things will always change. So whether it's with motherhood, maybe it's with your job, with work, being able to adapt and change based off the circumstances in front of you is such a valuable skill to have. And I've definitely had a lot of practice with this in motherhood so far. And I'd say the number one tip that really helps me is to have a set of non-negotiables that I know I need to get done for that day. So yes, having some sense of a routine is helpful, but having a baby, it's really all over the place because sometimes his naps are shorter, sometimes they're longer, sometimes he sleeps in later. And so I don't necessarily have a timed routine, but having my non-negotiables of what I get done in the morning, what I get done in the afternoon, what I get done in the evening routine really helps to feel some sense of structure, even when, my hour by hour, minute by minute may not be as structured as I would have liked, because I'm definitely somebody who thrives off of routine. And if you are looking at the screen, you'll see we're filling up my bottle organization now, although a little later in the video, we're going to be fully filling it up because right now I had a bunch of bottles and binkies and stuff that were still in the wash. So we will come back to this a little bit later to finish it off, and then I'll show a before and after. Okay, these are just a couple clips of me feeding Louis that I wanted to share and talk a little bit about how we've kind of started our solids journey with him. I found this brand, and this is not sponsored. Again, another brand I'd love to work with though, because I genuinely love their jars. But the brand Beech Nut, I believe it's called. My husband actually found it. And what I love about this brand is there are no preservatives, nothing added, literally just the food and water. So this one is carrots, and you see the ingredients, just organic carrots and water. He has another one of peas, I think it is, with like just peas and water. And I just really love to know that I am putting whole foods in his mouth, and it saves me so much time from having to mix them all up myself, which is something I want to get into. I do want to start making him food, but as a full-time working mom, it's just not something that I've had time to do yet. So these have really, really been great as we've been introducing new solids to him. Okay, now let's do a little morning in my life as a full-time work from home mom. My husband leaves for work around 5 a.m. So the morning is just me and Louis. This was around 7 a.m. He was still sleeping, which was nice. So I got myself downstairs. I start brewing my coffee. And then part of my routine every morning is while my coffee is brewing, I will empty the dishwasher. If he was awake at this point, he would be sitting in his little high chair just watching me, hanging out. But obviously he was still sleeping at this point, so I had the monitor. Also, this Mom Cozy dishwasher, we don't use it to wash our pump parts and bottles and everything, but I do love to use it to dry it. And this is another tip that I've been doing since way before I was a mom, but it has helped me exponentially in motherhood as well. And that is using those little waiting times throughout my day to get stuff done and be productive. So while I'm waiting for my coffee to brew, I know that I'm emptying the dishwasher. And I almost think of it as a game, like how many dishes can I put away before my coffee's done brewing? If it's done brewing before I've emptied the dishwasher, I will still finish, but it's a fun little way to, make cleaning up into almost a little game. Now, if you're like me and you like to have your coffee hot in the morning, highly recommend popping it into a tumbler, especially as a mom. I find that I'm running around the house so much in the morning, it would get cold so fast. I used to use a mug warmer, but that would be when I was, sitting on the couch for like an hour in the morning, slowly drinking my coffee and enjoying it. And that just doesn't happen anymore. So putting it in a tumbler ensures that it stays warm all morning. And then I knew I was kind of pushing my luck, but I decided to try and get a little bit of pumping done before he woke up. I think I was pumping for a total of like 5 or 6 minutes before he started to wake up on the monitor. I did wait like 30 seconds because sometimes he'll just fall back asleep. That did not happen. He was clearly wide awake. And since he had been up to nurse like an hour and a half before that, I knew he wasn't going to be hungry. So I decided to just continue pumping, carry my pump upstairs. And let me tell you, it is quite a sport to try and pump while actively entertaining your baby. But it's also a skill that I will say I've gotten very, very good at over the months. I was actually able to pump for like another 10 minutes by singing to him. He loves when I do the YMCA dance. So we did that for a little bit. And then I was able to pop him out, change him. I emptied the garbage because that really needed to be done. And then I didn't show it, but I got myself dressed in a more put together outfit for the day, brushed my teeth, all that fun stuff. And we're going to head downstairs to do a little bit more organization of the bottles.
I put your favorite song on just to wake you up. When I dance around, I can't help but feeling I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment. Can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving this moment. Can we stay here forever?
I don't know if it's my mind tricking me into enjoying it because I know I have to do it every single day, but I actually find it kind of relaxing putting all the pump parts back together, the bottle parts, and then popping them into their little storage container. I also think that having this new organization set up, it just looks so satisfying to me that it makes me enjoy it even more. So again, if you are looking for a way to organize your bottles or pump parts, or really, I mean, even bathroom organization or anything like that, makeup maybe, these drawers I think are phenomenal. So I will have them linked below, but this just looks so darn satisfying to me. And as a reminder, here's the before, here's what we were working with. Not bad, but I just felt like it could be really improved, and I'm so darn happy with how it turned out. So here's the after. So much neater, so much cleaner looking. I also love how the binkies are kind of contained in that area versus needing to put them each in their own little separate binky holder so that they're not out in the open. So highly, highly recommend. I'm obsessed with this. And then as far as the formula and my actual pumps and stuff like that, I decided to pop those into a basket. So I've got these 4 baskets in the island, and I thought one of them should probably be dedicated to baby stuff. I've got the formulas in there. I've got a few bibs that we're using, and then my pump parts are going in the second clear bin. So definitely utilizing baskets like this, and even putting additional organizers within the basket to separate it out is one of my favorite ways to organize. Now, this is the same morning, but as you can see, we're both in different outfits, and that is because we had a little bit of a blowout while I was holding him, so that resulted in us both needing clean clothes. So we took care of that, and this was around 8:30. Like I said, I do work a full-time job from home, and we have a nanny who comes while I work. I'm so, so grateful. If you're not new here, you've heard me talk about that. We had a little bit of took a little while to find a good, reliable nanny, but I'm so, so grateful with who we have. She's been amazing. But before she gets here, we'll do a little bit of playtime in here. This is one of his favorite books. I swear we read it at least once a day. He just loves seeing all the fish and the sea creatures pop out. So if you have a baby in your life, highly recommend this book. And one of my favorite things about this playroom that I put together is having the different stations that we can go between. I love helping him walk on these blocks. I mean, he's not crawling yet, but I do feel like we're getting close. And when he is crawling, when he's crawling, we're going to have to get a playpen to kind of enclose this area. We got a lot of baby proofing to do, but also it'll be fun to have him practice crawling around those blocks. And then one of my favorite areas is this little ball pit. I would have loved one of these when I was younger. So when my sister-in-law and brother-in-law got it for him for Christmas, it's just probably one of my favorite Christmas gifts we received. And I made a TikTok about this, but mom hack, if you have a baby and you want to try and entertain them while you're working out, get a mini trampoline. He loves watching me jump on this thing. And it actually is a phenomenal workout. There's so many benefits to jumping on a trampoline like this, but it's so much fun. I'll do that for like 3 to 5 minutes in the morning. I feel great. He enjoys it. And overall, it's a win-win. But after that, it was time to hand Louis over to our amazing nanny, and I was able to get to work for the day. And now this is actually a couple days later. We have a handful of cleaning to do today, but first I needed a coffee because I feel like most of my cleaning these days happens in the morning before I start work, and a coffee is a must. This is really the most simple tip, and I know you've heard it a million times before, so I apologize for that, but also hearing something multiple times can often be the reminder you need, or it's just going to be relatable. So I hope that you can relate to this, but having my morning coffee just puts me in such a good mood and literally gets me out of bed most mornings when I think about getting to go downstairs and make it. So having that sort of a motivation and little burst of joy in your morning, something to look forward to, is really, really powerful. Whether that is a coffee, maybe it's a tea, maybe it's your go-to breakfast, maybe it's adding a slice of fruit or cucumber or something into your water to just spice it up, romanticize it a little bit. It just goes such a long way. And this coffee definitely gave me the energy that I needed this morning to go tackle our complete mess of a bedroom.
This is my favorite things. You could be the part where it all begins. You could be the first and the second and the third and the rest of it. You could be one of the things I love. Sunday morning breakfast with my bedroom door locked. I like everything that has a cherry on top. Get on my list of the things I love, love, love. You could be the one I trust. All the second chances, they are nothing for us. I like it all with the cherry on top.
Now, something else I've learned throughout this first 7 months of motherhood is that you can't do everything in one day. You can do everything, you can get everything done that you want to, but it's not all going to happen at once. And it forces you to prioritize what actually matters, what can wait, what truly needs your attention in that moment. And I think this is like kind of one of the most powerful and comforting things all at once for new moms. I know for me at least, this really, really helps me to feel a little bit more at peace about what I'm focusing on. I've said this before, but I often feel like I have a bajillion tabs open in my mind, and I really need to start just closing those tabs and only have the ones open that I actually can focus on or need to put time towards in that moment. And this morning it was cleaning the bedroom. The day before, I remember looking at the bedroom and it was just such disaster, but I had such a long list of things to do, and I remember feeling so overwhelmed, like I have to get to this. And then when I finally said to myself, Kat, cleaning the bedroom is not a priority today. Maybe tomorrow it will be a priority and I can tackle it in the morning. And I just remember it feeling like such a relief when that was taken off my to-do list for the evening. And I knew that I'd wake up in the morning, I would make myself a nice coffee, as I did. And honestly, the entire cleaning process became so much more enjoyable the next day because I had more energy. I felt less, mind cluttered, and I was able to focus on the bedroom because I knew that was my priority. Remember that if you're trying to do a million things at once, you're not giving your all to any of them. And whether that's as simple as prioritizing playtime with your baby before they go to bed, or maybe it's cleaning up the kitchen, or maybe it's finishing up a work project that you really have to get done before the morning, the next task that you need to get done will still be there the next day, but you will feel so much better if you separate it out and give yourself permission to spread out your tasks so that you can actually do each one properly and enjoy them more. Now, Louis hasn't been sleeping in this pack and play, but I do still keep it in the bedroom just because it's a nice place to put him while I'm doing laundry or getting ready or something, and he can have his toys in there. But I don't know why I had it facing the way that I did for so long. It just took up more space. So I turned it to its side, and this just fits the space so much better. Let's get some early spring cleaning done together. Yes, I know it is only February, but while it may not actually be spring yet, telling myself that I'm doing spring cleaning actually puts me in a more positive and excited mindset. And so today, not only are we tackling pretty much every room in my home, but throughout the video, I'm also going to share some of my favorite realistic ways that you can reset both your home and your life. Instead of waiting for it to actually get warmer outside to start a reset, I like to start now. And that way, by the time the spring comes, you're already feeling a little more set in the different different systems, routines, healthy habits that you've started implementing. And I find that it makes a huge difference. So if you're in this, we're in this together. Grab yourself a coffee, a water, whatever your drink of choice is, and let's be productive together. Alrighty, item number 1 on our home and life reset checklist is resetting your morning routine. And my number 1 tip for moms specifically when it comes to crafting your perfect morning routine is don't be super specific on the timing of everything and the order of everything. And what I mean by that is when I think about my morning pre my son Louis being born, it was like 6 a.m. my alarm goes off, 6:05 I'm brushing my teeth, 6:10 I am making my coffee. I had a very specific time-stamped morning routine. And now that I have my son who is a little over 7 months, I've learned very quickly that is just not realistic. I have tried making the time-stamped mornings and it just does not always happen the way I want it to, because maybe Louis sleeps in a little longer and I want to get some sleep because I barely slept the night before, or maybe he wakes up extra early and so I have to start my day earlier than I anticipated. So when you're thinking about resetting your morning routine, I want you to consider what are the actual habits that are non-negotiables for you in your morning routine, your morning must-haves, your morning non-negotiables, almost like a morning checklist. And then those are the things you need to get done. So it still feels like there's kind of structure throughout your morning, but it doesn't necessarily matter what time you're waking up. So for example, some of mine are empty the dishwasher, put away all the bottle and pump parts that were washed the night before, have my morning vitamins, have my morning coffee, read a couple books to Louis in our morning, have my breakfast. That's a non-negotiable because I know that makes me feel so much better the rest of the day. If I skip breakfast, I definitely feel it. And my last video, I actually shared bits of my morning routine, so I'll have that linked in the description if you're interested, but I do plan to make a full, more in detail morning routine as a mom. But what I really want you to take from this tip here is instead of having a super structured morning routine, just have a list of the things you want to get done in your morning, so there's still some sense of structure, but you don't feel like if you switch up the order a little bit or it starts a little earlier or later than you're used to, that your entire routine is thrown off, because there is no set time. It's just that you have your set list of things you want to get done. And I find that this helps me so much. Okay, now we're going to move on to tackle the kitchen. You can see that the island was just completely cluttered up with stuff. And I do typically like to start my kitchen cleaning with the island just because once that's all tidied off, it makes the entire space feel so much more manageable. So a random little tip here, but start with the focal point of the room. You've probably heard me say that a million times. Now, moving on to our second reset tip of the video, or reset checklist item, is to create a simple cleaning rhythm. Now, what I mean by this is instead of saving everything for one completely exhausting day of cleaning, which some weeks that's going to happen, but it's incredibly helpful if you create a weekly cleaning schedule where each day of the week has a designated cleaning task. Not only does this help take away decision fatigue because you already know what you're supposed to be doing each day when it comes to cleaning your home, but it also keeps things a lot more manageable as a mom, because I think it's safe to say that we are all overwhelmed at one point or another during the week. So by having a set list of what you're going to do cleaning wise each day, it just makes the week feel a little bit more structured and predictable. And this is another instance where I think I could make an entire video dedicated to my weekly cleaning routine. But a really quick example, Monday could be tackling the bathrooms. Tuesday could be the floors, combining vacuuming and mopping. Maybe Wednesday is doing your one batch of laundry, and then Thursdays you clean out the fridge, and so on and so forth. But basically having one main activity each day of the week, and you don't even necessarily need to know exactly what time during the day you're going to do it, because again, our schedules as moms are pretty much ever changing, but you do know that at some point during that day you need to find time to do whatever that cleaning task is. So as we head into spring, I want you to think about and ideally write down, whether it's a notes app in your phone, a piece of paper, your calendar, email it to yourself, whatever it is, make a list of what cleaning task is going to be tackled on each day of the week, and then you can start holding yourself accountable and feeling a little less jumbled with all the things that you need to get done around your home.
Get on my
Okay, this next reset tip has absolutely nothing to do with what we're doing on screen, which is dishes, but I do think it's an important one, and that is to do a digital declutter and a reset of your phone, your computer, your emails. And this actually came to me because I was unfortunately reminded that I have not done this in a little too long. And the other day I was trying to take a picture of Louis. He was doing something unbelievably cute, which he does all the time, but my phone yelled at me and was like, "You don't have any more storage. You can't continue taking pictures." So I recommend that you set a goal for yourself. Maybe every day you're deleting 500 photos and videos from your phone. If you open up your computer right now and there's just like 50,000 files all on the desktop, I think that's a good sign that you should do a little bit of a digital declutter of your computer. Just like we're looking at our home every single day, we're pretty much looking at our digital devices every single day. So you want those to be decluttered and organized as well. Now, I'd say about once a month, I like to take everything off of my counters and do a complete wipe down of the entire space. Not that my counters are huge, but I do think it's important to clear it off and do a total wipe down every once in a while. It's funny because if younger me saw how many items I have on my counter, she would be not happy. She would literally cringe at it because I am definitely somebody who likes to have as clean or as cleared off counters as possible. However, one thing that being a mom has taught me is that you just need to get used to having stuff out because it is so much more practical to have these items on the counter and be able to easily grab for them. So I do think that it's important to get used to having stuff out, but I also think there are ways that you can make it look a little nicer and more intentional on the counter. For example, the clear bins that I have organizing my baby bottles, pump parts, all that stuff, pacifiers. And I think it was my last video that we totally rearranged that space. So I'll have that linked below if you're interested. It's actually in the same video as the morning routine. So it's already down there. Also totally random, but in case you were wondering, I'm obsessed with this set. It's from Amazon. I have it in 2 colors actually because it is so darn comfortable and it feels like I'm wearing pajamas, but especially working from home, I can feel put together throughout my day. And actually, I'm not gonna lie, I've worn this out when about to run errands a million times as well, and super comfortable, but looks super cute and put together. Now, I probably don't vacuum the kitchen as often as I should because for some reason, I just really don't enjoy vacuuming on tile. And then whenever I do it, it's never actually as bad as I thought it was going to be. So I'm making that so dramatic. We're literally talking about vacuuming. But let me know if you have that one chore that you get irrationally annoyed to have to do it and you know that you're just being dramatic, but it's also important that you do the task. I don't know. For me, that's vacuuming tile floor. But also something I wanted to mention, if you see, we put our high chair together. I ended up deciding on the Mockingbird high chair, and I am so grateful that I did. I did a ton of research. I'd say my top reason for going with it is just how darn easy it is to clean, and I really love how it has silicone straps. That was something that I did not find in a lot of high chairs, and those straps just get so dirty, so being able to wipe them off, huge game changer. I also really like how small of a footprint it is. You can see it really doesn't take that much space up, and I really like that it also converts into a toddler chair. So there were a lot of things I love about this, but highly recommend if you're looking for a high chair.
This moment, can we stay here forever? I'm loving this moment, can we stay here together? If I could stop the time, don't you know that I would? 'Cause I'm just loving this moment, can we stay here forever?
Alrighty, moving on to the living room. I did decide to remove all of these blankets that I have laid on the couch, kind of almost as like couch cushion covers, and pop those in the washing machine. I feel like I do that maybe once every 3 weeks, maybe once a month. To be honest, I probably should do it more, but regardless, we're doing that here. And I also wanted to share the next reset tip, which is vacuuming places in your home that you don't typically vacuum. So for example, here you're going to see we're removing all the cushions from my couch so that I can vacuum under that. We don't eat on the couch, that I was going to say say we don't eat on the couch that often, and that's not true. We probably eat on the couch every single day. However, as Louis gets older, we are going to start making it a non-negotiable that we eat dinner at the table as a family every single night. To be completely transparent, we just need to clear off our dining room table because at this point it is still a clutter zone and we've been using it to store stuff. So that's a total side note. But I will say that finding areas in your home that you don't vacuum as often as maybe you should, and then taking some time to vacuum those up, it just gives you a sense of cleanliness that is hard to explain until after you actually do it, because it's like dirt that you can't really see, but just knowing that the dust and crumbs and whatever else was there has been cleaned up and isn't there anymore is such a peaceful feeling to me. So whether it's under couch cushions, maybe it's under the couch itself, maybe under your bed, under a dresser, under a console table, just areas in your home that don't typically get vacuumed, this is a great time to reset those spaces and make sure they're nice and tidy. In case you're new here, I thought I would do a really quick, rapid fire facts about me intro to myself. So hi, my name is Kat. I'm 30 years old. I live in Connecticut. I am a first-time mom to my incredible son, Louis. He is a little over 7 months now. My husband and I are just completely obsessed with him. We have been married for a little over a year and a half now. However, we've been together since 2013. I do work a full-time job from home in addition to putting out these videos every week. I was so lucky and fortunate to be able to take 6 months maternity. So I just got back to work about a month and a week ago, 5 weeks ago, and it's been going really well. So I'm so grateful for that. Those are just some quick little facts about me. If you are watching this and you're hearing me talk, I would love for you to say hi in the comments. And if you are new, introduce yourself. If you're not new, I would just love for you to say hi and share what you're doing while you watch this video, or really anything. I love hearing from you guys. Honestly, being able to talk in the comments is one of my favorite parts of making videos and putting these out. And also, to be completely transparent, your engagement on my videos really does help my channel grow and reach more people. So I really appreciate every single one of you who ever takes time to watch, comment, share, any of that stuff on my videos.
I try to follow my heart, but I lost it somehow. Wish that someone could say it'll all be okay. Just listen to me as I say. You will find a way. Slow it down, dreams still yours if you want it. Enjoy the ride, 'cause those ups and those downs is what makes it worth the ride. You will make it in time. You'll make it in time. Time. You'll make it in time. Time. You'll make it in time.
Alrighty, now let's talk about the next reset tip. So this one is to go around your home and ensure that anything that is on top of a surface or visible in any way has a home. So for example, on your kitchen counter, I had all my baby bottle products and stuff like that, and I organized them in clear containers so they all had a spot. If you find you often throw your keys on a console table by the front door, put a little decorative bowl there so that they're more intentionally placed somewhere, but it's still easy to throw them and grab them as you need them. If you have a bookshelf, make sure that the books are aligned neatly on the shelf and there's not too many that they're really stuffed in there. If you're anything like me, visual clutter does not put you in the best headspace, and so I think it's really beneficial to go around your home and ensure that everything you can see has a spot and there's not too much of it out either, because again, too much stuff is going to lead to chaos in your mind, or at least for me, and I feel like a lot of us are like that. Now, of course, having your closets and drawers and cabinets, those things organized is also important, but for this step, we're only going to focus on what you can actually see. And also, once that's complete, it's really going to help to motivate you to tackle those more hidden cluttered spots, because your mind is already feeling that dopamine from getting the visual clutter all figured out. Alrighty, now let's talk about our next reset tip. So this one has to do more with your home and the physical items in it. And the reason I thought about it in this room, but side note, we are cleaning up my office/guest room. And you see I have this box here on the ground. That is my donation bin. So what I recommend you do is have a designated donation bin that maybe you do one full sweep of your home if you have a little bit of time to go through and try and fill it as much as you can. But then also I recommend having a spot in your home that you always keep this bin so that throughout your days and weeks, as things pop up that you're like, I probably really don't need this anymore, you can put it in the bin. And maybe it's once every couple of weeks or once a month that you take that bin and bring it to the donation center, and whatever is in it you clearly didn't think about, so it's good to get rid of it. I think this is a really simple way to avoid clutter building up too much in your home, because there's so many times where I see an item and I'm like, I probably can donate that, but I'm not going to the center right now, so I'm just going to leave it and I'll come back and get it later. But if I know that there's a specific area in my home where I put all those items, I grab it, pop it in that bin. This is one of those things that's super simple, but genuinely makes me feel like I have my life so much more together. A little life hack: if you're like me and you're always trying to find new ways to entertain your baby while you're cleaning or getting stuff done and you need somewhere to put that, my mom actually gave me this idea because this is what she does with a stroller at her house when we go visit them. But take your stroller inside and then you can just have your baby sit in that and hang out, and it's super convenient to roll around to different rooms. And also, if you see here, I got this portable mobile from Amazon and I just attached it to the little push handle on the stroller, and he can watch it and hang out. And this entertained him for a decent amount of time. And it's great because, like I said, it's really portable to move him around the downstairs while I'm cleaning up. Alrighty, I don't know how we got here so quick, but it is about time to lower Louie's crib because he is starting to try and pull himself up. That's what I was attempting to tackle here, although you'll see it didn't actually go that well because when Tim put this crib together, he really screwed those screws in tight, which is good, but it meant that I was not able to unscrew them. You could see here I was really struggling, so I decided that we were just going to have to wait for him. And unfortunately, we did not end up having time to do that before I finished filming this video, so that will be in an upcoming video. But I was going to change out the sheets, which I was very excited about. I got this new set of sheets from Amazon. They're bamboo. I just have a thing with bamboo sheets. I love them. They're the only sheets that I will buy for me and Tim, and now Louie always gets bamboo sheets as well. But I thought these ones were so darn adorable because they have little elephants on them, and it goes with the theme of his nursery, like safari animals. Callie found her new favorite place to hang out. She was just kind of curled up under there. I thought that was so cute. But anyways, moving on. This is actually the next morning. We're going to be folding some laundry. I had some towels to fold. Alrighty, now let's talk about the next thing we're going to do to reset our homes for the spring. Now, this is to rethink your laundry system. Most of us could probably give a little bit of love and attention to our laundry system. So here I'm going to share 3 of my top tried and true laundry methods, all of which have worked for me really well at some point in my life. And the last one is the one I'm currently doing. And hopefully one of these can resonate and work well for you. So option 1 is a daily load of laundry. You're not really thinking about what types of laundry, if it's towels, if it's clothes, whose clothes. It's just every day you are doing at least 1 load of laundry. What's really important with this is that you're not only washing the clothes, but you're also drying and folding them all in the same day. Now, option 2 is to have set laundry days. For example, Mondays you do the kids' laundries, Wednesdays you do towels and sheets, Fridays you do your clothes, and maybe Sunday is any catch up that you didn't do throughout the week. And while this does take a little bit more planning as far as what you're going to be doing each day, it also can help limit the days you have to do laundry. And option option 3 isn't for everybody, but I'm not gonna lie, this is pretty much what I'm currently doing, and that is to have set days that you actually do the wash and the dry of the clothes, but then maybe you wait 2 to 3 days to have a handful of loads like all clean and ready to go, and then you throw them all on your bed and you take like 45 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is, to fold everything and put it all away. And of course there are some cons to this method. One, of course, the clothes may get a little more wrinkly as they sit there and wait to be folded, and it can definitely feel like you're never finishing something, like it's constantly you need to fold more, wash more, whatever it may be. But honestly, sometimes there's stages in life that are just so busy that I find this is the most practical way for me to go about it. So take some time to consider which of these methods is the best option for you in your life right now, and honestly just being clear on which one you're using for the foreseeable future will make you feel like you have your life so much more together.
Nobody told me to settle down. Day nights and late nights don't get around, but there's something about you I like, about you I like. You're crazy for saying I should slow down, but maybe I'm escaping the love we found. There's something about you I like, about you I like.
Alrighty, moving on to the playroom. I am so grateful that I redid this space. If you did miss that video, like maybe a little over a month ago, I posted a complete playroom transformation. This used to be our junk clutter zone room. It was just filled to the brim with random storage stuff. So grateful that we turned this into a playroom. We're in here literally every single day, multiple times a day. And that definitely means it needs a bit of a deeper clean every once in a while. So first things first, I'm removing everything from the carpet so we can do a vacuum of it. If you saw in the transformation video, we did also use my washing vacuum, or I don't know what it's called, but it does has water and soap and everything, and does a super deep clean of the carpet. That I'll probably do once every few months. And then I'm also going to be wiping down the play mat and the little building blocks or climbing blocks that he has. I love these baby safe disinfectant wipes. They're all natural, a lot cleaner to use. So I'll have them linked below. I get them in bulk from Amazon because I just like to have these everywhere in the house. I like to have some in the diaper bag, one in the car, make sure that anytime we're going out and about at a restaurant, I don't know if this is a little overcautious, but I feel like it's not. I think it's good to do. I always wipe down the table where Louis is going to be sticking his hands and everything because, he's a baby. His hands always then end up in his mouth. So I really love these wipes. Alrighty, so our next reset tip is geared towards you moms out there, and that is to do a declutter of your kids' toys. I really do believe that less toys means they're going to enjoy what they have more, because it's, if there's just a million toys out in front of them, can be overwhelming. I know I get overwhelmed if there's too much in front of me, so especially for a kid, and they can get easily distracted to a different one. And I don't know, I'm no expert, but I do feel like having less toys in front of them helps them to work with their imagination and really enjoy and appreciate each toy that they are playing with. So it doesn't mean that you have to get rid of a whole bunch of their toys, but maybe have a rotation system. I think this is going to be good, especially as Louis gets older as well, to have a more rotating system of which toys are out and about, because right now he doesn't really have that many. I mean, he does have more than I would have thought he would have had at this point, but I know as he gets older, it's just our collection is going to continue to grow and grow and grow. And it's going to become even more critical that we don't have all of his toys out all of the time. The This is so random, but for some reason I find vacuuming the stairs incredibly satisfying. I don't know why, because it's just, I don't know, it's just such a random chore, but for some reason, like seeing any dust or crumbs or whatever get sucked up into the vacuum and then the stairs being all clean is incredibly satisfying and enjoyable for me. I will say I definitely enjoy it more when I have my mini vacuum versus lugging my massive vacuum up the stairs, but even so, vacuuming stairs is very satisfying to me. So I'm curious, are there any random cleaning tasks that you find oddly satisfying?
Cause I got this list of my favorite things. You could be the part where it all begins. You could be the first and the second and the third and the rest of it. You could be one of the things I love. Sunday morning breakfast with my bedroom door locked. I like everything that has a cherry on top. Get on my list of the things I love, love, love. You could be the one I trust. All the second chances say I'm nothing for right. I like it all with the cherry on top. Be one of the things I love, the things I love, the things I love, the things I love.
Alrighty, this next reset step is very random, but it's to wash any fabrics and linens and stuff that you don't really wash that often. And what made me think of this is I was washing Callie's bed. I do wash it regular or like relatively frequently, but if there's any dog beds that you have, or maybe you have a washable rug in your kitchen or bathroom or something, or maybe it's your shower curtain, just anything like that that you probably don't wash as often as you should, this is a great time of year to do it. Now, it's funny because I thought to myself when I was putting away my makeup and clearing off my makeup vanity that I also wanted to do some decluttering. I figured when I open up the drawer, I'll find some items in here that I don't need anymore and declutter them. And I was very proud of myself when I realized that there wasn't actually anything in there that I don't use every single day. A few months ago in one of my videos, we decluttered and reorganized this drawer, and I was proud of myself to see that I've been actually keeping up with it really well. And my final tip for this reset as we enter into a new season is to remember that it does not have to be perfect. A reset is not about doing more or suddenly having everything in your entire life and home all together. It's really about making your life feel a little bit lighter for you and your family. Sometimes it's just clearing out some clutter, or maybe it's simplifying or rethinking a routine in your life to feel like you have things a little bit more together. It's these small changes that can really shift how we feel in our day-to-day life and really make all of the difference. So I hope this can inspire you. If you are still getting things done and you want to continue being productive together, I will have my entire Clean With Me playlist linked below, as well as my organizing, decluttering playlist. And if you're not already, I would love for you to consider subscribing. I put out new videos like this every single week so we can continue to be productive together. And with all that being said, I hope you're having a wonderful day. I hope you're getting stuff done, and I will see you in my next video. Okay, love you, bye.